we're back for another podcast. This is podcast number 8, I believe. And this week we are going to be talking about MLM, marketing, like nutrition companies. I'm sure everyone kind of knows what we're talking about. The fancy, expensive protein shakes or the wraps or anything like that. When you guys want to go over exactly what they are?
Well, if for some reason you've been living under a rock, you should just check your Facebook page. I'm sure somebody is selling something from these people. Without naming names, they're a company that does two things. They either recruit people for coaches, which is typically the most lucrative, or salespeople, and then also they sell their own brand of stuff. So, like, I guess like a regular brand that you'd find in a store, but way crazy expensive and completely unnecessary. But it's all about pushing the brand, and everything kind of trickles its way upwards. So you have incentive to cast a wide net, create a little team, and recruit people just so you make more money, because the sales part is not where a lot of people tend to make the money.
Yeah, and you'll notice their products tend to claim, it may be a protein powder, but then, all the other buzzwords are there where it's going to, be full of antioxidants that detoxify you and, Lord knows what else. Typically, it's just like a standard supplement, and then they throw in some multivitamins with it and claim it does magic stuff. So, I don't know. I guess my biggest gripe with these companies is how much the stuff costs. You look at like what I consider a top of the line but expensive brand would be like Optimum Nutrition. Their protein is, if it's not on sale, it's what, like $55 for a 5-pound tub.
Yeah, that's pretty typical.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're going to buy, I think it's a 2-pound container of their protein supplement from some of these companies, it's like $120, $130. You're looking at 4 to 5 times the cost
And really,
of what you find
and
elsewhere.
all you're really getting out of that is like all the extra crap they shove in. Basically a multivitamin in powder form. And for the cost, by comparison, you're able to buy like a 10 kilo massive tub of your favorite protein powder for about the same, or a couple of 5-pound tubs of something. It just goes so much further. And if you're eating right anyways, you don't need a multivitamin in the first place. So why would you need? I mean, really, honestly, ask yourselves why you would need any of that extra crap in your shake in the first place.
Yeah, I mean, Matt, you work at Whole Foods. Um, I'm sure you deal with the buzzwords enough as it is, but
Oh, I got stories.
like price-wise, even going to Whole Foods, which is considered one of the more expensive grocery stores,
Mm-hmm.
you can find comparable stuff, even in terms of, like the natural ingredients or things they claim that these products have. Like you can get that from Whole Foods too. Am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong. It really is that if I were to make a comparison that I think we could all find to be apt, that we could all kind of agree on, it would be like if you had two different gyms that have the same equipment and you have the same access to them, but one costs 4 times what the other one costs. Why would you ever sign up for that gym when you could go to the one that that costs a reasonable amount and get the exact same thing? Protein powders, supplements, things that have the buzzwords on the packaging, antioxidants and detoxifies, and what are you paying for, really? I mean, and where my biggest problem, aside from the price, is that I very rarely see evidence beyond, yeah, my friend here tried it and she's super skinny now.
Yeah.
I think that's a big thing we encounter on the forum, and I've encountered it elsewhere too. Is all you do is you hear a lot of word of mouth, and really that unsubstantiated, well, it worked for me, or it worked for my friend, or like, what does that really mean? Does it mean that, like, because we've all experienced success despite our best efforts to fuck ourselves over. So really, like, just because you succeeded doesn't mean it's a good idea to do it. Yeah, and who knows down the road if you're actually going to keep it off or keep up with it versus someone that just kind of goes about it, well, obviously the cheaper way. And really, like, to go back to the example you said, Matt, with really all you're paying for with that difference is the prestige of the brand,
Hmm.
which, there is such a thing as brand loyalty and brand markup, because I work in the grocery industry too, but that sort of gross markup is just, it's unheard of, even within some of the more aggressive SKUs in grocery. There's absolutely no point to it. And even when you do downgrade to some of the, like, house labels, there is a quality difference, right? You're actually trading some quality for the price. In the case of a lot of these shakes and these programs, you're trading down and paying more. So it's like, so what's the point? Like, I have yet to see any substantial reason why I would pay more for less, whether it's buying a shake or investing in one of these stupid programs or challenges or anything like that. It, if you're just doing it for the prestige, then I have a bridge I would love to talk to you about buying from you.
Yeah, well, you got me thinking too when you said the word of mouth. People say it works. Sometimes it goes hand in hand. You buy the new expensive product. Oh, I'm going to work out now with this product. What do you think's really getting you those results? That you're drinking a magical shake once a day, or that now you're getting off the couch and doing something along with it? You're going to be paying more attention to what you're doing, what you're eating, and I think that's the difference. But then they falsely attribute it to these products that they're buying.
It's the classic. There's correlation but no causation. So, like, they're correlating the results, but like you said, the causation is not really defined because if they're drinking that stupid expensive ass shake, but then they might have replaced a meal, and that might have cut, let's say, just for shits and giggles, like 500 calories out of their diet. Maybe that's all they needed is a 500 calorie reduction, and all of a sudden they lose a ton of weight because they really weren't that far away from the calorie deficit they need in the first place. So is it the shake that did it, or is it because you just cut your calories back? I would say it's because you cut the calories back, and it just so happens the shake was coincidentally the reason you did it. But those products get way more credit than they should for any results they get, and it's unfortunate that people buy into it as much as they do without understanding the reasoning behind why it might have worked for somebody.
It's at this level of the conversation too. Let's be clear. For a lot of these products, we're not saying that they are bad or that they don't work. Some of these shakes, obviously, they're full of vitamins, minerals, protein, that sort of thing. They work, but you're paying way too much for them. It's the brand loyalty, like you said, Andrew, and I just want to be clear that we're not necessarily saying this product is absolute bunk and needs to go into the trash. We're saying there's a reason the term pyramid scheme exists.
Yeah, I mean, it comes up in the forums a lot, and every time someone asks, usually the advice is, you could go here and buy this very similar product for less. So, like you said, it's not that it's a bad thing, and it's definitely not going to hurt you to, drink a shake or, do whatever, but you could get the same thing elsewhere for way, way less.
Mm-hmm.
For me, we haven't really touched on it too much, but the other big issue I have with a lot of the MLM companies is not just the products, but the predatory practices that they kind of encourage, because they're very aggressive about, especially the fact that a lot of times you don't make any money off the products, although people do sell some stuff, and of course they get a bunch of freebies and they get all these little benefits, but the real money is in recruiting other people to be part of their team or their group or whatever, and then they get the kickback from that, and the kickback from that is a pretty heavy incentive, and the amount of time and effort that you have to put in to make any money on these programs is pretty substantial, and even with the ridiculous markups on the products. So you see a lot of people, they, even if they might be really nice people, but because they have this incentive to try and capture as many people as possible, they really kind of let the shit whistle in them come out in order to to get those hit those numbers they need to make any money, or to make a difference, or to stay motivated, or whatever aggressive targets they have. So it gets really frustrating to deal with whatever tactic they're using for any particular day.
Yeah,
Just
and I think
because
all of us
you
have
gotta,
had those friends on Facebook that we, it gets to be a little bit too much, and you start unfriending or unfollowing, and
That was
you got to
today.
ignore people after a while. Yeah. Did you just say you knocked out 2 people there?
Yeah, just today. That makes 4 this week that I've cut, just because I used to hear things from them. Hey, this is what's going on in my life. This is how my mom is, and now it's all, hey, here's this product, or hey, here's a testimonial from somebody you've never met. No, bye.
Yeah, no thanks.
it's funny because I've had both. Like, I've had good and bad experiences with people that have used those programs. Like, I had one friend of mine that used the wraps, but she was really honest about the wraps. Like, she never made any claims about them being magical weight loss tools. She never made any claims about magically shrinking inches. She used them. Like, I don't really know how effective they were, but she used them as, like, well, it'll help you tighten your skin over time, and like way dialed down uh, expectations with them. And I had another friend that lost a bunch of weight, was doing a whole bunch of stuff, doing all the right things, but then she came out as, oh, I also use Herbalife, or I also use this other thing. Well, I know I already said it.
You already
It
said
doesn't matter.
it.
But I said it.
Beep.
I said it in a positive light, and I didn't actually throw them under the bus. But uh, in those cases, those are people that at the very least they were not obnoxious about it. But I'm not really sure that they got much. But they ended up not getting much out of it because they weren't willing to be that obnoxiously aggressive, uh, predatory salesperson in order to get what they needed out of it, other than the freebies and the perks.
Yeah. All right. And then besides just like the food products that all these things sell, some of the companies also sell exercise programs too, which, for the most part, some of them are okay. Um, I know a lot of them focus more on you're at home, so they want to do like plyometric exercises, which can be awesome stuff, but they're more targeted for beginners, which is my main issue for them. I know like plyometrics and jumping around, push-ups, it's tough on your joints, and especially for someone just starting out. To me, it's asking for an injury, as long as if you're not building up to it in the proper way. I don't know if you guys have tried any of those things in the past.
I
No.
have. I actually have one a couple of years ago. I don't want to say the name, but it's one of the bigger, more recognizable ones. The ex-wife, she got packaged one day. Turns out she'd sat up one night and watched an infomercial and just decided to buy something. And it wasn't the most horrible thing ever. Don't get me wrong, but it was exactly as you described. It was plyometrics, and it was a lot of sort of high impact type things. And we had a tile floor at the time. I recall that
Ooh.
sucked a lot. Yeah. She had a yoga mat. I didn't. And we're not married anymore.
That's why.
Over the yoga mat. So, like, I've never experienced them, but my understanding of them is that they remind me a little bit of when you get a really bad trainer and they give you that really hardcore workout for the first week with the intent of making you basically vomit and make it feel like you're working really hard. And you can get some results out of that, but really it's more designed to make you to flail around and make you feel like you're doing something rather than necessarily actually getting somewhere with it. You'll get really good at that specific thing, which is the workout, but
Yeah, and most of
beyond
them
that,
aren't going to be. They're not going to build the muscle that they claim typically. And, like, you're not progressively overloading yourself to. I don't know. Maybe I'm biased, but like weightlifting, it makes sense to me that you're slowly adding more and more weight, whereas you can only do so many burpees.
Yeah.
It turns into cardio after a while.
Yeah, the one that I did was after a couple of weeks, you go to DVD 2, and it's basically the same thing. It's just like a much faster pace, so you're packing more individual exercises into the same time frame. And that kind of makes sense, you know, if you're looking to work on your cardiovascular, your respiratory system, that sort of thing. But it's, I mean, at the end of the day, you're still at home jumping around, and if if you're getting off the couch for the first time, you know, more power to you. It may not be the best way you could go about it, but just getting up and doing something, you know, good for you. But the one that we did was so simple. You know, they didn't really pack on the exercises. I had worse my first week of basic training. So I often, when I think back on it, you know, think in terms of it being more of a placebo effect than anything. You know, hey, you can burn this many calories doing this workout. Notice the word can, not do or will. You can burn, you know, 700, 800, 900 calories doing this workout. So you get this idea that, hey, that wasn't so bad. That was 40 minutes of my day, but they say that I burned 700, 800, 900 calories. I mean, how awesome is this? I can keep this up. I can do this. And it's great to have an I can do this attitude, but at the same time, if it's a placebo effect, if you're not getting enough out of this, then, you know, what use is this really?
Well,
I've definitely seen people use it as like a starting point too. You know, like you said, you start to build that mentality of, you know, I can spend 40 minutes a day doing something, and it leaps off into something else beyond that. Like, you know, maybe you're gonna run a marathon because you started this. Maybe you're gonna start going to a physical gym because of this. And
Mhm.
you know, I think that has a good aspect. You know, I don't hate the exercise programs themselves. Normally, it's not
No.
optimal, but you're doing something good.
I would
No, I
say
just
that,
don't want anybody to get caught in that rut, like I say, of saying this is good enough.
Oh,
You know,
okay.
if they come to ImagerFit and they see us doing workouts, or they see how often do people post a snap of their treadmill, you know, after they've gotten off, and they go, wow, I was on the treadmill for an hour, and then you can see how many calories they burned. Well, the number that you're given for some of these programs, you know, as a potential is usually a lot higher than that. So they come and by comparison, they say, oh, look, well, you know, I burned 400 calories more than that doing this, and I don't feel like I got my ass kicked. So this is good enough, right? That's what I would rather people be
Okay,
able to
I
avoid.
get you there.
when I look at those programs, I see like I think of all the people that do calisthenics, and even they do some weightlifting, or they get to a point where they have to start adding weight to whatever they're doing, whether it's like pull-ups, push-ups. Like they have to actively work to make it more difficult after a very short kind of period of peak, right? The peak for those programs is so low without really kind of screwing with it by adding weight, you know, some kind of resistance. That, yeah, the potential is very short for them versus other methods. So it's, you know, a starting point, sure, but I wouldn't take it beyond that, beyond maybe one cycle or whatever of the program before you go and actually do something more substantial. Because
I
otherwise you're just
do
going to get
know
stuck.
um, there are some programs that they're multiple iterations of. There's, you know, start out with this one, and now there's two, there's three, there's four, and I know some have dumbbell work into it, but again, I've never bought those programs, so I don't exactly know what they work, or, you know, what they incorporate. I've just seen plenty of people talk about it in group, mentioning, hey, you know, you need dumbbells for this, or you need something to, you know, they think about it ahead where you're adding your resistance to it somehow.
Well, funny enough, a lot of these companies that make these videos happen to sell overly expensive resistance bands and things like that.
Yeah.
Funny that.
Layers and layers. So that was the least awful part. I think actually the most awful part is a lot of the fixed programs and the detox stuff that they also push, because that's huge, a huge market for them. Because they basically make a ton of money off telling people to drink like vinegar and lemon juice and hot tea. So that's an easy sell for them. And then a lot of I think another thing, a lot of them are so results driven that they have like maybe what might be a good structure, but then they take it way too far because they're looking for the maximum results in a short window versus the long-term focus that we preach and beat to death, frankly, every day on ImagerFit. And that other than maybe the predatory stuff, I think that's honestly the worst part. Is it just derails a lot of that long-term viability because it's all, ooh, look all these shiny results you can get in like 20 days or a month or obviously the detox, and then they perpetuate the cleansing and that your liver needs to be flushed and that your colon needs to be flushed, and it's just all disgusting stuff.
Yeah, I know. I can think of the one that, promises results in 3 weeks or whatever, and it focuses on calorie restriction through the little Tupperware things. And I appreciate that they have guidelines based on, how big you are, how often you work out, and they scale how much food you can put in those things, but it's still way low for what a person should realistically be eating, just because they're trying to drive that, hey, you have 3 weeks and you're going to lose 10, 15 pounds and you're going to look awesome. And, we're all about the moderate sustainability for what we're doing here,
Well,
long-term goals.
well, with that one in particular, I did the math for myself, and I'm currently eating between 2,700 and 3,000 calories a day to basically maintain my weight with minimal fluctuation. And the program, as it was structured, had me all the way down to 1,680 calories, which is almost 200 calories below my resting metabolic rate. Like, that's way too low. Like, I'm way too tiny for this program to be forgiving for me. And so yeah, it has a structure that seems reasonable, right? It has the calorie adjustment and has this little formula that seems all mathy but is easy to follow. But it still ignores a lot of the fundamental principles of of your daily expenditures and the absolute your base intake. Like, it just completely ignores that those exist, and that's a huge flaw in their premise, and it's something that it's like they took a good concept and they just shit all over it.
Yeah, I, I don't think I'm wrong here, but don't some of these companies also have their own certifications that they give their coaches?
Yeah.
I can
Oh,
think
yeah.
of one off the top of my head where, you take a nutrition course over a day and now you're a nutritionist for their company, or, now you're I don't even know the words they use.
Take any random word and put the word certified in front of it.
Yeah,
That's what it comes
they
down
give
to.
you a piece of paper and, there's just, I feel like they're missing so much and they're perpetuating these myths that help them sell their products but really aren't good for the individual buying them.
A lot of them do conventions, and it just becomes like this giant echo chamber. And they spend a lot more time trying to figure out how they can sell their products better, and look at us be so awesome, rather than I think actually do anything of substance. And it really is one of those methods to box people into their own little corner of the universe. And if you're that immersed in it, then it really becomes that echo chamber, and you're just not gonna hear anything else, and you're not gonna hear any alternatives. You're not even gonna think of alternatives because it's constant, constant, constant. You get hammered with it. Whether you got to meet your targets, or you're trying to manage your whoever you're mentoring in this program, or you're trying to sell, or you're trying to you get all these incentives to attend these conventions and other things like that, and it just you become a parrot basically.
Yeah, so I don't know if how long ago, maybe a month ago, Gavin posted some new rules in the group for marketing or soliciting things. Um, you know, as admins, we love to see people, some people come up with shirt ideas and design their own things and want to sell them. That's awesome. Sometimes you notice good sales on websites. Actually, that you don't really have to ask us about that. I post sales I find all the time. But least with our new rules, I think they're posted online. I hope they are. If not, we can
Yeah.
fix that tonight. You know, if you have an event you want to invite people to, if you have like another group you want to invite people to, run it by us first, just so you know, like we have your best interest at heart. But we've had some issues lately with, come to our accountability group and you can buy our products once you're there. And like, I hate seeing people get scammed and waste their money on things that, the group is based, it was created around giving free quality information to people, and having people prey on that bugs me. I don't like seeing that happen.
Well, we understand everyone's an adult, and we can't force people to do or not to do anything. But if you're in our group, then we want to kind of know what's going on, and B, we do want to. I don't want to say control the narrative because that's probably a little bit too heavy-handed, but we do want to make sure that the message that we're getting across and things that we're either passively or actively endorsing, that they are the things that really should be the main driving points. Calorie counting, flexible dieting, proven exercise techniques, reasonable and affordable programs for people. So when we have things kind of disguised as accountability or challenge groups, and then they kind of funnel people away, it's we're not your money bank that you can kind of withdraw people from whenever you feel like you need to hit your targets, or that you need to reach a wider audience. Yeah, we have a lot of people and a lot of active people, even though like it might only be 1% of people in our group that's active, but that's still a lot of people. That's almost 2,000 people, and we want to just make sure that we aren't even passively endorsing the idea of people coming in and just basically parachuting them out and under the guise of something that seems all right but ends up being just another sales pitch. So we want everything above board, essentially.
Yeah, at the end of the day, we just don't want ImFit to be like an easy recruiting grounds, the low-hanging fruit for somebody who, whether they intend to or not, is engaging in these very aggressive marketing tactics. Recruiting people to these challenges, these. We've all seen it. We all know what it is. What we, especially the admins and a lot of the users of ImFit, a lot of what we say is not delightful to hear sometimes. Losing weight takes time. Gaining weight takes time. Getting better at lifting weights takes time. Everything takes time and a shitload of effort. And that's a hard pill to swallow for some people. We get that. And we just don't want somebody who may not have anybody's best interests at heart walking in and offering a golden alternative and saying, hey, yeah, they're telling you it's going to take time and effort. I'm telling you in 30 days you can look like Adonis. It's bullshit every time. And we'd rather not deal with that is kind of what it comes down to, and we'd rather you not have to deal with that.
And
we're here to help you guys.
Yeah.
And just a lot of the stuff that these sort of challenges do, you can do in the group. I mean, there seems to be kind of a misunderstanding as to what limit the group has, and you know what, like. We have a challenge going on right now for the month of September that's approved and endorsed, and it's just it takes very little effort for that challenge to run and be visible every day, even though the page can move pretty quick sometimes. And I would challenge people, if you really think that you want to do something, try and do it in the group first, because we have the capacity, and especially if you clear anything with us, you'll have the support that, just for instance, when we had a t-shirt sale go on, I know I was pretty heavily involved in just, saying, it's okay, you can post it, it's okay, you can remind people, post a new link. Like, that's the sort of stuff that, maybe not in every single circumstance, but if it's something that we can get behind, odds are we'll help you kind of get things moving and keep things going. And it's very doable in the group, and it's something that I would encourage more people to do rather than try and do their own thing. And there have been some offshoot groups. I know there's a no alcohol until October or something going on, which, I can kind of see that being separate, although, kind of part of, but I'd say 90% of the challenge things, you could just run it in the group, and odds are it would be pretty successful.
Yeah, we love seeing that stuff. So Ben's just, a bump, I guess, for Ben's thing. He's doing his challenge accountability. I don't know what we're gonna call it. I don't know if he ever came up with a title for it, but essentially a non-scale kind of group where
basically a non-scale victory accountability challenge.
Yeah, so you come up with a personal goal for yourself and try to hit that every day of the month, whatever it is, which is awesome. It's something that is gonna reinforce positive actions on you. So that's awesome. When Sarah designed shirts for the group, that was awesome. All those things we encourage. So I feel like we've been kind of Debbie Downers this whole cast, kind of bitching about these MLM groups. So how about, do you guys have any good alternatives? I know, like, we see the vitamin protein mixes that come out. I'll buy my normal whey and make shakes with that all the time. It's maybe not a meal replacement, but a snack. Throw in some frozen fruit, almond milk, mix up some whey in there. It's a quick something for me. Do you guys have recipes or anything that you do pretty often? This is kind of your wheelhouse, probably more than anything else.
Everything I do is stupidly simple. So
you would think I'd be full of recipes, and I just don't use them if I can help it. Unless I'm baking. I really don't use recipes that often. I drink a shake almost every day. Although, if I'm honest, I drink that shake more often than not so I can get my creatine in than for the protein. And if I don't drink a shake, I'm that jackass that just takes a spoonful of creatine and swallows it down. It's nasty as hell.
Yeah, I've never had one that dissolves very well. So
the one I got now dissolves really, really well. I've got a bag from My Protein that I will never use. It's the worst thing ever.
Yeah, their stuff, I love so many of their proteins, some of the great flavors, some really bad flavors, but it could be hit or miss. But it's so cheap, it's worth a shot.
Yeah, I mean, but as far as do I have recipes or something like that? Not so much. Nothing I haven't already shared with the group. I've been talking a lot recently about the benefits of eating whole foods, which is not to say only whole foods, because I'm not extreme about anything. But if anybody's curious about that, either I've said plenty on the subject, or just send me a message. I'm always willing to help. That's pretty much what I got on that topic. No recipe for you.
Fine. I put you on the spot. It's all right. All right. Well, I think we made our opinions pretty clear here. We hope you guys enjoyed it and maybe learned a little something, and maybe you can save yourself some money in the future with this.
And just drink your goddamn whey. Don't worry about whatever the fuck else you want to put into it. Just drink the goddamn whey, or casein, or
if you're that worried, buy a multivitamin.
Yeah.
All right. We'll see you guys later.